Welcome back to the Martin Liedtke channel. I'm here for a special, quicker than usual post with my mind-blowing findings. Who discovered America or the Americas? Yes, I know, that's right. The official narrative is Christopher Columbus, but we all know by now that Norsemen and Phoenicians and the early classical world had already been to America, which is in fact the old world and not the new world. So I have been reading the letters of Amerigo Vespucci. Okay, Vespucci is meant to be the guy who America is named after and is also cited for discovering the Americas. Have read the letters that he wrote to one of the Medicis concerning 4 of his voyages, and they are mind-blowing. The later voyages, he talks of the island of giants. He talks about the Tartars, surprisingly. He talks about the massive amounts of population, but more interestingly of all, what this book is actually a case study of people trying to disprove him. He says that he found a continent past the 50th latitude line south, but they have cited that it was probably maybe South Georgia or maybe Tristan da Luna, but he is saying no, and he's got an actual court case on return, and it's got echoes of Olaf Johnson and the Smoky God, because he's telling them, no, I've seen a continent with more animals than the whole of Africa, Europe and Asia put together, a massive population, and it's not the American continent. I'm going to show you this, read some of the bullet points, and luckily enough, Theodore de Bray, later on, maybe 25 years after the occasion, engraved and painted some beautiful depictions of said happening. Now, what you find is, this is like ugly. This guy, Vespucci, like his counterpart Columbus, is a psychopath. Okay, he's talking about mass murder and slavery like it's something that a Christian should do while he's like waving his handkerchief. It's quite insane, actually. But what you will find is all of the native world, as we have talked about before on many occasions, is cannibal. Some of the bits of this book read like a horror film. Imagine the film Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. It's like that, only a lot worse, this book. It's a fantastic read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm going to share the bullet points with you and some of the depictions. But I found this. It's a later engraving by another counterpart that is mentioned in the letters, another pilot and navigator, and the engravings that went with it, and what looks and appears to be pictures of a inhabited Antarctica. So multiple evidences that there is more land. Now the narrative goes, bear with me, please. If you would share this out, that would be fantastic. So what we find in the official story, guys, is that the medieval Europe or the medieval world has no idea that the Americas exist west, apparently. Now, we know that is not true. I know, but this is the official narrative. So we know that there was Norsemen, we know that there was Phoenicians, we know the Welshmen went there in conicals, we know the Irish have sailed there too, we know the people were traveling, after Noah's flood, to the early America after the flood. So Columbus sets sail, okay, because in his belief system, according to the official narrative, he's going to find India because he thinks he's on a ball, okay? Only he smack bang bumps into America because America's in the way. Only not America, sort of the Caribbean, Antigua, etc., in 1492. So later on, only 6 years later, Vespucci, Vespucci or Vespucci, I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation right. He is basically asking for money to go and get wealth, pearls, and gold, and see if any of this stuff that Columbus has been saying has got any truth to it. Columbus is apparently up in court as well, trying to prove what he's saying on return. So he's going to go and get a load of slaves and bring them back to prove, and pearls and gold to prove what he's saying. He's a complete psychopath. The mass murder is off the scale, and some of the gnarliest happenings I've ever heard of. They always go naked in the whole of the Americas. That's including Floridina in the north and the South American continent. Everybody is naked, and they like shiny things. They are very reluctant to meet their visitors because they look like they are visitors from space. And in fact, this is what the Portuguese told them. When they were asked, where did you come from? They didn't say across the sea. They pointed at the sky and said they came from heaven, and tried to force Christianity on them. Now, shiny things they liked, like mirrors. So they would leave trunks full of shiny mirrors and knickknacks on the beach to tease them out. Once they gained their trust, all hell breaks loose. They enslave hundreds. The natives themselves have some peculiar sort of customs, which we'll look into in a minute, especially amongst the women. But they are all cannibals. Okay, they eat their enemies, and what's more, they live till they're 150 years of age and they do not get ill. They live to 150 years of age because we're supposed to be living to 150 years of age. We've been sold a half-life, guys, if you're lucky. There's no way this is not true that we should be able to live this long, okay? Aging, and death is all a psyop. It's a program for the way consciousness works and manifestation program to make that an actuality when it doesn't have to be. The reverse is true. You can stay young, healthy, and fit till you're 150. So we're going to get stuck in. Mind-blowing picture first, okay, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy all of this post. Please, as I said, make sure to like this video if you did, and make sure to share this Martin Liedtke video, if you would. Be so kind. Peace and love to you all, and let's get stuck in. So this is a little bit of a later engraver, but only a short time later. And some of these engravings are by Theodore de Bray, but it's all in Latin. But getting some of the gist concerning, you know, stuff like the animals in this area, they've never seen the like. Okay, of these. So this is apparently, I'll show you the map in a minute, Porto de Fire, where you have apparently giant birds bigger than ships, lions, which they're killing. And if you take a close look here, which I thought was absolutely fascinating, and even if it's not the Antarctica side, which I think it is, because I'm going to show you the map they give you, it is then the very far south of Tierra del Fuego, Patagonia, and then there's the Patagonian giants. And what you see here is the skeleton of a giant, which is not like a Photoshop photograph on the internet. This is quite good evidence, and they've got a skull there as well. So what you find as well, deciduous trees, and it's not all ice. You can see trees and mountains all the way into the background. This place is not icy. What it also says is it doesn't, you know, really get cold at all in this place, according to the narrative of Amerigo Vespucci. So, yeah, it's quite a mind-blowing little document, this. What you find, let me just scroll up, is they give you some of these ports. If it is Tierra del Fuego, it's absolutely mind-blowing that they put these star forts up that early, considering this is, it is by de Bray, 1625, so a little while after the letters that we're going to look at in a minute. So let me just show you this map of where they are according to, excuse me, I'll link all of these beautiful maps up. Some of them are absolutely mind-blowing. This one here is just, what am I bloody looking? I couldn't believe it the first time I saw it. It was absolutely brilliant. Is this? So it's a map. I'm guessing it's Tierra del Fuego, but, you know, orientated differently. Got a giant dodo. What they state in this book that I will show you is these people are white and they talk like us, only not in the same language, but their mouth moves in the same way. Something like they are exactly like us, but they are reddened through the sun. But all of the people of the Americas, North and South, are all white. So this is the river that comes down and these islands that you get down on the bottom of Tierra del Fuego, and there's the Magellan Straits, and we know what's on the other side of the Magellan Straits is Antarctica. Apparently, so there's Fuego there, but these long lands. But these are the people that we'll be looking into a little bit, and that is Majelica, which is a very, very farthest southern tip of South America, apparently. And this is the Pacific side, I guess, is it? It's hard to say when it's oriented in such a nature. But still mind-blowing regardless. We're going to come back to this book in a little while. Now, let's get to the character himself. Definitely a psychopath, unless this is the mindset of the day. A Phoenician, no doubt about it whatsoever. It's mentioned multiple times. The whole mentality of it is there, okay? So apparently he goes to check out if it's all true what Columbus has been saying. He's cited, but we all know this is not true. He's a Florentina merchant. Okay, he's a pilot. He's a navigator. He has use of the quadrant and the astrolabe. And who exactly discovered? Explorer, as I say, Christopher Columbus. But they have saying that America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. There he is there. Okay. And he discovered, which we will look into a bit because of its absolutely carnage nature, his discovery of Venezuela. And Venezuela meaning Little Venice. Little Venice. When he got there, it was a large city and it was on stilts, and everyone was using canoes to get back and forth the streets. Just like he said, just like in Venice. So I'm guessing that's the Bay of Caracas back in the day. So everybody knows, though, and I'll give you some evidence a little bit later, that neither of these really did. But after the post-flood narrative that they've given to the world, we're rediscovering it all because none of it was there before, and nobody in Europe actually knew. Okay, right, I'm going to cover some of the bullet points, but I'm going to give you some beautiful images, as you'll see here. Brazil, he mentions in some detail. Oh my, oh my, oh my, it is carnage. It's a fantastic book. I do suggest you read it if you get a chance. You can audio book it. I did late, but I find that if I read it, I absorb more because of my short attention span. Anyway, we're going to start here. These natives, they have to have a feeling of security. Okay, we're going to just have a little think about some of their ways, if you like. So what he knew of their life and their customs was that they all go naked, as well as the men, as the women, without covering anything. No otherwise than they have come out of their mother's womb. They are of medium stature and well proportioned. The color of their skin inclines to a red, like the skin of a lion. But I believe that they are, if they were properly clothed, they would be white like ourselves. They have no hair whatsoever on their bodies, and they have very long black hair, especially the women, which beautifies them. They have not very beautiful faces because of their long eyelids, but it gives them, which make them look like the Tartars because they are the Tartars. They do not allow any hair to grow on their eyebrows, nor eyelashes, nor in any other part of their head. And where it is rough and disheveled, which we'll look at images of shortly. They have no, as we wind down here, they have no metals whatsoever. They use teeth, animal and fish bone, and they use bone burnt to a point for weapons and lances. Okay. And they have knobs on the end, very well carved, they say. Okay. For their weapons, which we'll look into a little bit in a minute. Now, there's a terrible attention to detail concerning some of their habits. Like they go into the bush to do number twos and they're very respectful. But if they're going to urinate, they will stand there naked and urinate in front of you without standing away. Okay. So they have no leaders. Okay. They don't have leaders. They don't have any rules. They don't have any religion, no God, no ideology, nothing to do with anything that we can imagine. They just exist, live. The men take as many wives as they so please. The women are as strong as the men and take on equal responsibility in the keeping of the community. Okay. But they are very warring. They like to go and have a war with their neighbors. And if you ask them why they're warring, they said, it's a feud, an ancient feud that's arisen in former times. They don't go into any details because they haven't got any details. Somebody killed my uncle, Stanley, in the past, or what have you. So they got to have, and then they eat their enemies. They eat their enemies. And these are like barbarous affairs. They go into some details with these eatings. Okay. Now, what I think happens, as I've talked about many times, is I think when it all winds down, they already put in human meat into the burgers, etc. Let me just show you some images to give you an idea of what we're talking about. This is actually Theodore de Bray from Cosmographia, and he shows you these great cities which are there already, as you can see, and the habits of the people of what is the continent. Now, what we cover in this book is absolutely mind-blowing. He talks about lands below the 50th with more animals than the whole of the rest of the world put together. But they say in the case study, we think he's talking about South Georgia or Tristan Bahuna or even somewhere else. But he's saying, no, it's a continent. And he wants to say this is true. But they're saying there's some faults maybe in his navigation. It talks about a land of giants that is possibly Trinidad, according to his journey from Cadiz, 800 leagues, which is 4 miles to a league, distance of, maybe 3,000 odd miles. I think he was in the Caribbean. So he goes further south and he tells you 10,000 leagues. I don't even know what that means. I can't even imagine him going... No, 1,000 leagues, 4,000 miles past the Amazon south. So where was he going? He takes slaves, 250 at a time. I don't know how he manages to keep them on his 6 ships, but he does. He burns their villages and he mass murders tens and tens of thousands. Now, what he tells you is there's a massive population in Brazil. He tells you there's a massive population in Brazil. He tells you, excuse me. Oh, damn. He tells you there's a massive population in Brazil. Just knocked off my Cosmographia. And giants, as you can see there. Let's just bring these up. Okay. So what you're getting is these white, naked people everywhere in the world. Even some parts of Africa seem to have them. Everywhere in the world is cannibalistic. Why? Why is everyone eating human beings and their enemies? No problem whatsoever. And they're fit, they're strong. They have no cattle, they have no goats, they have no pigs. They live on fish and their enemies. Okay. They're quite warring. They need to have a war with their neighbors. But as I mentioned before, they're not really positive as to what it's all about. It seems to be an ancient feud. As you can see, you see an ancient feud here. And all the animals you could expect. So they made many attempts. They made attempts with one tribe on the Amazon, who weren't very welcoming. So they left some trinkets on the beach, went away again. And they seen them coming out and looking at the trinkets, quite pleased with their trinkets, like mirrors and some gowns. So they sent one of their young, good-looking sailors ashore, hoping it would give them more confidence. Okay, the women, they looked at him, they touched him, they were amazed by him, and then a woman stepped out of the bushes, smacked him over the head with a club. Then they tore him to pieces in front of the crew. Now you can imagine for a European crew, this is pretty gnarly. They're like, "Oh my God, what are these people?" So then they had a bonfire going, and then they cooked their friend, the sailor, and they ate him with sarcasm. They were saying they were eating him, going, your friend tastes lovely. These are the gifts. They have no metallurgy. They do have some gold jewelry and stuff, but that is it. No other metals except for gold. And this is part of what, Vespucci's after is gold and pearls, massive amounts to sell when he gets back. And this cosmographia is very telling. So what you get here on the cosmographia, this is facing south this way. And this is the giants of Patagonia. Okay, as you can see, they're a warring type of people. Everyone's having a war. Everyone's eating everyone else. You get to the Straits of Magellan, which I just showed you on that map just now. And then you get this green and pleasant land with them two rivers splitting off again, which we've got on a map, which calls Phoenicia by there. And it calls this the Euphrates and this the Tigris. And we're saying this is the original place. And this river, Magellan Straits. And then you get all of these place names in Antarctica. And you've got just Africa is full of deciduous trees. There's no such thing as desert. There's no such thing as ice. It doesn't get cold in Patagonia at all, even though Patagonia is supposed to be pretty parky. But no, they say actually what they get is abundance of what are called white rainbows. I've not heard of them. And it doesn't actually get cold in winter, and it's nicely warm in summer. It is perfect in this continent, which he's telling us about in these letters, which we'll have a look at in a minute. So, excuse me. So that's the Magellan Strait, and we get these, this is supposed to be a Tartar, by the way, in some narratives, but these cryptids. Now, it's got to be gene splicing. That's got to be what's going on with all these Hollywood stars, what's coming out now at the moment with Sacrifice, with the gene pool. Aboriginals is a B genus, like the blood group and the genus, and they're all on these lands. Some sort of experiment going down, no doubt in my mind whatsoever, guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if these cloning centers were actually a fucking thing in my mind. And I just think it's a thing. Okay. So there's these Patagonian giants, and we got a nice warm what looks to be in Antarctica. And everybody's white. Everybody is white, and there's not really Indians as such when they get there. But you got strange critters. I don't know what these designate, mind, these wheels. I really don't know. I think that maybe means north, the fleur-de-lis pointing north. So, okay. Oh, look, that's all you get right the way through. That narrative of them pulling that bloke apart literally turned my stomach to read it. It was absolutely horrendous, I must be honest with you. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to give you some of the book now. So it's interesting that they look like the Tartars, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to move up a little bit now. Page 64 tells us about they're cannibals. They have no belief systems. Right, I did that. Okay. So moving on a bit up to 76. I can't read it all, obviously. I'm just going to give you some bullet points. You can take the book away. It's easy to read. Lovely little read, actually, guys. Okay. And it is really, really enjoyable. And mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So 76 tells us that, they're just mass murdering everyone. So they follow the pursuit after they rip this guy to pieces. Okay. They decide to go and kill them all. They've had loads of battles. They use artillery and cannon and guns. It's not really fair. So they followed in pursuit to the village, and they took 250 prisoners. So where did they keep them to take them back to Lisbon or Cadiz, guys? In a hold. They burnt the village, and they returned to the ships with their 250 prisoners, leaving many killed and wounded. On one side, more than one was killed on their side, and 22 were wounded and recovered. God be thanked. And he says this. He said, like, we killed maybe 1,000. God favors us indeed. That they're doing good. So there's that island of, I'm wondering if that's that Rothschild Island off the coast of Antarctica that's on the peninsula. Because Rothschild bought an island, didn't he? And it's Rothschild's Island. And it's just off that place, Magellan Straits. So anyway, so it's mass murder. Everybody's accountable. And this is, not like a long, long time ago in the past. So I'm guessing they sold them to the Spanish when they got back. He got back with 222 prisoners. Anyway, so what I'm going to read now is pretty gnarly, guys. Now, their habits with, let's say, just eating their families, shall we? It's not frowned upon, apparently. If you get he's got okay, if I eat my whole family, later on I'll just go and get another wife, and then I'll eat them too. Apparently, that's all okay. But what is amazing in this book, guys, that blows my mind, he's saying, I know they don't believe me, but there is an unknown land. Let me just give you that on 96. It goes into the most terrible storm. Okay, by here. So he uses the stars, and he gives you, using what are the southern stars, a star map to this continent. Dig what I just said, guys. He gives you a star map to this continent, and it's not South America. It's further down than the 52nd horizon. Do you know where that is? Take a look on your map, guys. Okay, a little bit of Tierra del Fuego falls in the 50. No, the 50th, 52 maybe. Yeah, just. But Magellan Strait and Antarctica and the Arctic Circle is beyond the 52 latitude line horizon. Anyway, so he loses. He can no longer see Ursa Minor or Ursa Major, okay, because he's moved so far south. He's 500 leagues. That's 4 miles to a league. He's just done 2,000 miles south from the port where he departed. Dig that. And then this day was such a tempest arose in the sea. Okay, all his sails were blown away, and he ran under bare poles with a heavy southerly gale and a tremendous sea, and the air being very tempestuous. The gale was such that all the people in the fleet were much alarmed. The nights were very long, for the night we had on the 7th of April lasted 15 hours. And the sun being in the end of Aries, and in that region, it was winter. As your magnificence will be aware, sailing in the storm on the 7th of April, we came in sight of a new land. Dig. Okay. Past the 52nd south. Okay. He's lost the northern stars. He's only seen the 7 ones, and he's seen sight of a new land, along which ran nearly 20 leagues. So it's not really an island, and he said he found a rocky coast, but he said he couldn't find any inhabitants in that one. But they're saying there, one of his contemporaries there, Van Hagen, thinks that he's on about South Georgia, okay, or even Trestrian Derhuna as well. But I don't think so. He doesn't mention that it could have been the Falkland Islands, does he? Anyway, so to carry on, he basically, let's go to page 100. It's pretty gnarly, but this is what they actually do. He talks about the year. Made my sail, taking our way across the vast ocean towards the Antarctic pole. He's talking about the Antarctica continent, and I'm going to show you maps now in a minute in this atlas of what I just was going to show you at the very beginning. It's just the mind-blowing thing. Most mind-blowing thing. I think he's talking about that hidden world. He's saying here, okay, the Most High to show us a continent and new countries being other and unknown world, not America, and things being in sight that were much rejoiced by everyone who can imagine a calamity because they were just in the shit after that storm. Okay. So they find it by accident. It's in the Antarctica. It's past the 52nd South. He is in that place, which I'm going to show you on a map in a minute. It's just the most mind-blowing thing. Look, he says it's more populous and has more animals than the whole of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Is he talking about South America, where it's all jungle, all Amazon rainforest, and the rest is mountainous and deserty or Atacama? Have a think about it, guys. He's talking about a heavily populated place. And there's nowhere that fits that description in literally the Southern Hemisphere. In our minds, but there it is in this book. Most mind-blowing study. Brilliant. So let me just wind up to page 100 and let's read about how this gentleman ate all his babies, shall we? I don't know why I'm laughing. It's not funny. Anyway, he gives you star charts and he tells you, basically how to get there. Okay. This continent is in the torrid zone beyond the equinoctial line towards the South Pole. Okay, it begins at the 8 degrees beyond the equinoctial plane. We sailed across the coast to the Tropic of Capricorn and we found ourselves where the Antarctic pole was 50 degrees above the horizon. We went towards the Arctic Circle, oh fuck me, until we seen the degree 17 to 30 from it, all which, it's not South America, guys. It's not South America. He's talking about Antarctica. Wow. Again, they all go naked in Antarctica because it's, look, both sexes go naked. He also mentions in here that a lot of the places looks like they've had an apocalypse, he states. It's just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Anyway, 102. Excuse me. So this character here, so they like to kill their enemies and they are really into cruelty. They leave their dead out in tied to trees, basically, in a hammock, and leave medication there and food. If you get well and you eat your food, you get better, you can come back in the village. They say this happens very rarely. Most people die there because of disease and etc. They just keep them away, but they're not aware of illness as such. Anyway. So they are capable of great cruelty. They slaughter those who they capture, and the victors eat the vanquished. For human flesh is ordinary article for food amongst them. You may be certain that this is because they have seen man eat. I've seen a man eat his children and wife, and I knew that the man who was properly credited for eating 300 human beings. I was once in a certain city for 27 days. Something there came off in the bend in the leaf, I'm afraid. Human flesh was hung up near the houses. Okay, exposed butcher's meat. So it's just like human flesh on the butcher's hook there. Woman, excuse me, let me move on because it's a bit mangled there. So the women, as I said, go naked and are very libidinous. Yet their bodies are comely and they are as wild as can be imagined. They live for 150 years and are rarely sick. They sold us a half-life. We should be living 150 years. They have knowledge of roots and herbs. So I'm guessing psychedelics, etc. But he does mention we're going and he asks the chiefs, like, could we have some drugs? Do you have any good drugs? So they're going there for pearls, gold, drugs, women. Basically, when they discover the human giants, two women giant comes in. He says to his mate, he said, we're kidnapping these and we're taking them back. Check these honeys. Two women giants. He didn't exactly say that, but it was around. That's what he was getting at anyway. So Yeah, it's incredible about this massive population. It goes on to like gives you the basically star charts for how to get to this navigational place using, well, he uses like the quadrant and astrolabe, excuse me, and he gives you the star charts to go and tells you how to get there. These are 7 stars. I've known many other beautiful stars which have diligently noted down and described very well and certain in this book for navigation because they hadn't been seen. Because to him, he's saying it's a whole new world. And then he spends, he thanks God, the creator, for showing it. He wants the information to live for future generations. He has to argue his case like Olaf Johnson in court because these cats ain't believing him about what he has seen. Okay, they get the pearls, the carnage, barbarian, cannibals, etc. But the magnificent, massive continent that he's found, they ain't buying. This continent, let me show you here. It's in this book of Fyodor Debray's depictions of said continent. Mind-blowing, and it shows you the fifth, just so I can show you how far south that he went. Excuse me, let me get right to the top on this voyage. Okay, so it's crazy. We got quite a few. Check this out. Check this out. Quite a few, images for. Excuse me. So what we got down here, we got South America, but we get right down to Tierra del Fuego there, and you can see land right across from where we just showed you on that other map. 50th there, 52nd there, a little bit of Tierra del Fuego's in 50th. Anyway, so this book is mind-blowing. Like I said, I will share every single image and book that I show you. Here it is here. This is fantastic. So they're doing a lot of concocting. I noticed that. And they're like, you didn't do this. You didn't see that. Prove it. And it's just, oh my God, the audacity of some of these people when you read it. But check this out, guys. Tell me what we're looking at here. Absolutely amazing. So I showed you on a bigger map. Here is there. There's the river, as I showed you on that other map. There's the Straits of Magellan. And this is what says Stutenland there is Antarctica. And this is from I-616 there. Okay. And it's showing you what I just showed you. And that port there, that port is somewhere on this side. I think this place even got star forts, is what I think. Because later on, they show you incredible early, it's just like, okay, dig that this is Tierra excuse me, the southern tip of South America, Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire. Okay. And the other side is called the land of fire as well, which is crazy because it's supposed to be ice. And you get these Phoenicians, the usual thing. Everyone comes ashore. What they did, the natives in this book, they bring their women. Some of the men bring their virgin daughters, and they're quite happy for take them. No, don't bring them back. Just keep her, take her. And they're quite happy. Which the sailors, obviously after such a long time at sea, were quite happy to be taking part in. So this is like tropical Tierra del Fuego. Which it's not actually, by the way, guys. It's supposed to be a bit cold, mountainous. Okay. And you find that they're a bit cruel because they'll use artillery from the ships on these people. They'd wear 0 clothes anywhere in antiquity because it's not cold ever at all. And there's no snow. And as I'll show you in the cosmography, places like, excuse me, that Saudi Arabia are full of beautiful trees. So they do state that it's really abundant in all fruits and veg, roots, and they live on fish and dragons, what's called dragons. They have no religion as such. They do know, they do have some sort of customs, like the circle dance, which is natural for us all, as I've mentioned. This is the sort of population, and they have got pig there, or boars. And the one bay that they pulled into, which is supposed to be one of the beautifulest harbors in the world, okay, according to Amerigo, and 4,000 people were on the beach. What's more, they went inland 4 leagues, and they found a population of a village around 5,000 people, all in 8 houses. One house they went into had, he said, 600 people in there. They're massive houses, massive buildings. This is a huge population in this, the extremities of Earth, the harshest place in the world to be living in, apparently. And look who's here. The Phoenicians, don't you know? And why do I know it's the Phoenicians? Well, I'll give you evidence for that very shortly, guys. I'll give you evidence for that in a tick. So it gives you, it gets further on, and it will show you there's great cities there. But this is Brazil. They also take you to, that's Brasilia. There's a big, city in a encampment. And they also take you to Lima, which has a big, what looks like, Roman, Greco-Romano, if you like. So there it is. And let me just, twin that up, that image. And you can see there's that river coming out. There's the straits that I just showed you. And there's that other place, which got places named. And look at this. It's supposed to be they are definitely supposed, it's famous, isn't it, for giants? But look at that little island there. And again, they reckon it's just massively populated. All the natives act in a similar way. They're shocked to see them. Most will be friendly. All are cannibalistic. They will welcome you in. And if you don't mess, they won't kill you and eat you. If you do mess, they will kill you and eat you, as it shows you in this book and in Cosmographia. These are giants. And this is on the Patagonia side. But look at the church and the English town sort of thing going on. And it's an English flag as well, by the way. There's a little bit of naval carnage going on around there. St. Pedro. And again, all white. They wear feathers. They wear paternosters of bird feathers around their necks. Beads. But all go naked, apparently. But they did mention Venezuela having the most comely women of all, and the most beautiful women of all of South America in this book, he does stateth. And they are apparently like Tartars, apparently. So there you go. So there are a little bit of naval battle going on, but there are a few star forts. Look at this place here. What is that doing? That's Lima, it says there. Okay. That's the highest capital on Earth, by the way, apparently. It's up in the high Andes. And it's Peru. So what's the building there that looks like it should be in Quebec doing? And all of these buildings. And the skyscrapers in the background's a bit of a giveaway as well. You see the Twin Towers, big tower there. In Lima. Guys, dig. In Lima. I don't even know what ships are doing in Lima, guys. Look at it geographically for yourself. Maybe the whole of Peru is Lima. And these are Dutch flags anyway, but look at it. Yeah. And again, big forts and big towns in this area. So I'm not sure if these are giants and why he's pushing a raft and why they got an eagle wings open, but I think it might be analogous for some sort of tech. You've got 3 crosses on the hill here. As I said, it's the this Hollandia guy. He's he's associated. He made a statement actually about the credibility of Vespucci's statements and letters to Medici. And these whales always turn up, these Phoenician whales. But look at these towns, man. What's this doing in South America? And why is it all so big and up and running if this is like 20... Hang on. Like 30 years after, apparently, Columbus. They got that shit moving quick, didn't they, guys? And then they all have a big kill-off thing. That happens a lot. a bit of infighting, but that's for stuff. They got stuff. We want stuff. And the natives got nice, they just look, they're white. No clothes whatsoever. And that's in the Magellan Strait, 1519. It's like 30 years after apparently it's all been discovered, the Americas, or not even this part. Is that Manila? Okay, that's the Bay of Manila. I don't think that's the Philippines. Maybe. Look at this place then. Wow, Starfort on the corner, fully bristling with cannons. Really early. And it's in that little island there. I don't know. Crazy church thing going on. Anyway, I'll share that with you. Let's have a look at some color images. Oh my God, look at that for a little bay. Wow. What's going on with that? Might be just a natural reef, but this looks like European buildings, say the least. Wow. We got a volcano going off. Ganapus. Right next to a star fort. Nera. Okay, I did look that up in the past in the maps. Couldn't find it at all. Never star fort there. Places get named twice off, and there's that Antarctica with giants. Look, guys. Juicy Porto de Fire. De Fuego. Porto de Fuego. Or the fire. Anyway, let's move on. Thank you for popping by. There's the letters there. You can go into them, guys. Some of the storms are gnarly, the way they execute and the way that they and the evidence for this land, the geographical, as I'm reading it myself, guys, I'm looking at the map on my wall, which basically shows you all of these islands and places, and I'm following the voyage in my head, and I could just picture it, and I really do think that this was happening. I really do think that he was doing it. So this is a cosmography. It's an old book which shows you said, as I mentioned, big as you all the world. Nobody seems to have any clothes on anywhere. Everyone's native because Armageddon's happened. And the waters receded. America was underwater, it seems, longer than Europe because otherwise, how come the Europeans had all of that, the galleys, the cannons, the gunpowder and the tech and advancements when the other world over here is eating one another and got bows and arrows? Is because they haven't long come out of Armageddon. They don't even know why they're warring with one another. They don't know anything about the past. Who but these monuments are laying around all over the antiquity of America? Just read the Antiquities of America by Josiah Priest, and he tells you all about the Phoenicians and the Europeans, early settlers in the Caribbean and both Americas, and setting up. So what you find is, like I said, in Europe as well, and let me show you Arabia, India is supposed to be Sinisafria, Doghead is supposed to be the real thing, and the Belimes, and these things here, which were connected wham with their foot, which cause an earthquake and knock you off your feet, apparently. But interesting that Saudi Arabia is... I'm guessing that's that one ridge there is supposed to be the Himalayas. Weirdly. There they are. So they're all over. I really do think we have been some experiment gene splicing. Have you ever seen the film Island of Dr. Monroe? Oh, I can't pronounce it. Anyway, there's this film I seen years ago, and there's a doctor, and he lives on an island full of fucking cryptid human beings. Have you seen that? The Island of Dr. Molyneux, I think, something like that. Anyway, it blew my head off. And I thought of that when I was looking at this. I was thinking, look at Saudi Arabia, guys. Deciduous trees, guys. It's got, it's green, it's pleasant. It looks like the Welsh valleys. Saudi Arabia, something really bad's happened since then. Remember, this area here was called the Fertile Crescent because it was green, Persia and, what's supposed to happen in biblical times, all in a green, beautiful green land. And Ethiopia, just across the Red Sea there, beautifully green, all green, happy and green Arabia. with all of these same buildings that you see all over the world today and all over the world then, because there was one builder before the flood. And a lot of that stuff is still around now. I guess, and that's the Caspian Sea, biggest lake in the world. And I'm guessing that's the Black Sea, maybe. No, it's the Mediterranean. Okay, and that's the Greek islands. So this is where Phoenicia would be, and the Kings of Tyre. Okay, and that's the Red Sea, I'm guessing. Okay, so as you can see, the world and the past is nothing like what the official history tells us. It's all just nonsense, actually, guys, as you know. And it's the same for North America. We've studied the Floridians. This is Brazil again, where these are the Amazons, and they are a warrior race of women. And the Europeans did not be favorable with them. And what you find is a little bit later, I think it took about 40 years, I think the Europeans might have bought it, is these people definitely have some sort of religious structure, and these people here definitely do have some sort of leader. But again, like it's stated with the Isle of Giants, page 36 of the book, they said it's probably Trinidad, and they were of massive stature. These people here, of massive stature, you see, and thousands and thousands and thousands would turn up, and they were very pleasant. Once you give them stuff, shiny things they favored, mirrors they really liked, and trinkets like necklaces. These are for Theodore Debray, and they had this stature. So some of them are like 7 foot tall. They wear these bobble hats. Okay, we've noticed they wear bobble hats, and they have paints all over them. I don't know if they're tattoos, but not like the North American Indian that you would think of today. That's from I-5, 6, 7. That's quite a bit later than Columbus, and not long after the flood, because we're in a post-apocalyptic society right now. And times are very, very strange indeed. Now, I think this, guys, I think that the reason everybody is getting fucked terribly right now in Britain, in Europe, over energy is because it's their last waltz. The climate is definitely doing a number. The sun is doing a number. This place is getting hot. Britain soon will be like the Mediterranean. They know nobody's going to be heating their houses and burning gas. So now everyone in Britain got to find a tenner a day at least to warm their families. People in Britain are now deciding, guys, right, whether or not they should eat or have heating. Which one? It's a difficult decision, isn't it? Freeze or eat. So there they are. The animals came in 2 by 2, hurrah, and then they reproduced, and we're there now. Okay, everything came from Noah's Ark, apparently. Okay, let's move on. That's the Caribbean. He discovered Venezuela, and South America did Amerigo Vespucci. You get star thoughts in this as well. This is Floridina down into Brazil. They show a bit of Peru as well. Let's move on though. And you see some star thoughts and a bit of carnage going down, the usual. Welcome them, say hi, give them stuff. Nice little building they got going there. And he mentions these dragons. Yeah, they got no wings and everyone lives on them. They're very ferocious, and you've got to, they attack. They're like attack things. So I don't know if they're Komodo dragons, what have you. And this giant fasces thing, it's a stone. It looks like a fasces. I don't know whether this is his, because if it is, it's like a monolith to these people. They got no metallurgy, and these people are like, well, hit the floor. What is this shit? Well, trance. This guy, he's got what? He's like, let's say 6'5". He's massive. Look at his head to the Dutchman's head. Whoever he is, Dutchman. It's massive. And they wear these baubles. Really. He's got a pair of budgie smugglers. But look at the legs. They're like really, really, really strong people. Nothing like whoever occupies it now, don't know who they are. get them to build a star fort. They talk of one war that they had when they went ashore off of the ships, and they had to set up a little fort and battle tens of thousands, he said, but they only lost a few men because they had guns and artillery, and they killed literally thousands because mass murder and rape and slavery and robbing them of everything was object and mission. This is our true Christian mission, to bring them Jesus Christ and make them believe, and then nick all their shit and mass murder them. This year, 2 buckets, ayahuasca. Everyone's doing a psychedelic experience because they know. Isn't it funny how we just naturally know that these 2 substances make for DMT? Even back then. And some practices going on here. I'm not really sure. Looks like he's contorting and pulling faces. Again with the bobble hat. That's the hairdo, actually, I think. You got a sort of metal breastplate. So these ones got a little bit of metal going on, maybe. They look pretty funky with their tattoos and stuff. What's he on? Shit. Sigils. Black magic. He's doing Solomon magic. Did they show him that? He don't mention any magic as such in the books, guys, that I read from the letters at all. What he does mention is this: mass wars, guns and artillery versus. It's like Zulu Dawn every day on these missions of discovery to go make friends with the natives. Here they are. They turn up thousands and thousands strong, and they're quite brave. And they don't mind because they have no sense of death the same way, and they eat the dead. So if you get caught, you get chopped up and it's straight on the fire. Oh, look, they're burning the hair. Oh, that's going to stink. So they burn the hair. Scalped. Indian scalp. They're scalping them. They do that. They chop off the limbs. They eat them as well. Does he wait for him? No, they're just peeling this guy, peeling him off his bones. Everywhere in the world after Armageddon, only 500 years ago, guys, half a millennium ago. So they got a bell. They liked bells. They're like gifts of bells. So look at this guy. He's a whopper, isn't he? So they're of massive stature, guys, these people, compared to the Europeans. Look at the size of these people. So they got some music going on. Okay. And they know about stretchers. They put these out, like I explained. Look at the hair on these. They look totally like looks like he's one of Deep Purple, doesn't he? So they put them out into the woods. They give them some food, and if they survive, they come back. They come back. If they don't, they're eaten. And the women are treated rather poorly in some occasions, it would seem. And they're just there for like the baby making, the hunting, the going hunting berries and stuff like that. And he's collecting them because he's like, girls, you're going on a long trip. Some guy, he gave me this shiny thing and it's worth all of you, is what's going on. So I think they collect, what are they doing with their hair? Size of that seashell there, guys. So again, the Amazons are doing something with hair, some sort of magic, maybe hair magic. And then they're cooking them. They're cooking these. She's having a bit of human broth, maybe. Baby feeds in there. A couple of little sprogs. Look how meaty the sprogs are. They got like muscles and stuff. So they got no corn. No corn like we have or anything like that. Or maize or anything like that. But they do root vegetables. So I'm guessing potatoes, cabbages, and different stuff like that. They got a lot of different types of potato. And they get around on canoes. You see the fruits. They got a lot of food going on. Very abundant in this part of the world. Very abundant. Okay, yeah, potatoes. And I guess they do bread, fruit, a load of lizards. So they eat meat. and they're going to take all of that to the Europeans. First, they're going to smoke the load of critters. Okay, smoke and then give them to the. Pretend they're deers for hunting. This is a hunting trait. Pretend you're deer and then kill a deer, a reindeer. And talks about these in the book quite a bit. He witnessed them himself. He said they were absolutely massive. I think they're on about crocodiles. Oh, it does. It says crocodile there. Crocodilian. But these are massive crocs, and they kill them, and they eat them, and they're on the menu. Crocodile soup. And they look very much like the Phoenicians, don't they, guys? Just lolling around in the water, fishing, butt naked, no problem whatsoever. To them, it's like seeing a nose or eyes. They don't even think about it because they, I'm guessing they covered them up in these pictures, for modesty's sake. But they were, he states there's not scratch. They haven't got these on in that book. So I think he's throwing up. They've had ayahuasca. I bet the Europeans had a brilliant time. He said, "What, you going to drop this? I'm having a go. Look at the state of him. He's vomiting. But yeah, look at the state of him. He's up and dancing. I'm having a go. I'm having a go. You having a go? Come on, let's do it." And they have a cup of ayahuasca. Brilliant for purging the body, though, guys. So a proper ayahuasca ceremony 500 years ago. Something don't change. And they got a really high picket fence around there. Little encampment thing going on. And they go and have a little war with the natives. Let's go and kill them all. We need some meat. And then we'll eat them all. Here's a couple of the... Let's see what they do with their prisoners. Let's bring him back. Oh, what are you going to do with your prisoner? Watch. Smash his head in with the bat. His brains on the floor. While they're all tripping after their ayahuasca experience. I'm guessing they're into horror tripping. Lovely. Ugh. Okay. Doing something sinister with the arrows. They're really white, aren't they? They're whiter than white. I don't know. I don't like to think what's going on to that baby. I get a lot of babies eaten in that book. That guy ate his babies and his wife, and then got another load of kids and babies, and ate all them too. He ate 300 people. Oh, they're doing a bit of ideology now, and they're doing a bit of religion, and they are praising the deer that they're going to shortly eat. Maybe. I don't know. And a game of is that satellite? A game of hoopla or something like that. And the king of the queen in this case, because these have some sort of hierarchy, other places haven't. Get carried around. I tell you what, they really look Phoenician. Their behavior. So leaders are absolute massive giants. You find a lot. And he mentions quite some detail. He wanted to steal two giant women. He literally says to his mate in this cabin, "Is like, can we steal them? Oh, actually, all these are giants. All these are giants, and the women are really little. You see that? Twice the height, and they're all tripping. Wow, what an unbelievable video. Anyway, so nice material. They give you that, didn't they? Look at him doing I'm a little teapot, and they're like, "Oh, look at you, check you out." Oh. And they're taking their pot of ayahuasca everywhere they go, because it's pretty good, this mix. So that's what they're doing in the antique world. And extra evidence, actually, that the Phoenicians did actually go to the Americas, okay, via the Azores, the Ancients. I know this is in French, but we have had part of this book actually translated. And they give you evidence like this on this stone here, Digton Rock. In Phoenicia, Haisha, which is Phoenicia. So Haiti is, let me translate that. Haiti is the Phoenicians, okay? So the Phoenicians on the island of Haiti in American continent, vessels from Harim, who's on and Solomon to the Amazon River. So Solomon as well. Solomon the Great is here, and Hiram, who is the Phoenician navigator and admiral, who there's quite a bit of detail of in the last book that I posted on my last post, actually. So that concludes this. Let me just summarize 2 seconds, actually, if you do not mind. And I will just bring up that map again. So I've read the letters of Americo Vespucci, who lived between 1451 and died 1512. So not long after he'd done these 4 voyages, I guess they were rather stressful. He says that he discovered new continents and new countries, a new world outside of South America, below the 50th latitude line south, where there's more animals than the whole of Asia and Europe and Africa put together combined, and people in massive numbers. So he's not talking about South America. He's talking about Antarctica. He talks about the islands of giants, people of great stature. He talks about these people being like the Tartars and talking like us. If they had different words for things, but they talk like us. They were all cannibals with no hierarchy in a lot of cases. They had massive populations, cities of 20,000 people, all shared a house, massive houses. And they were subject to being burnt, their towns, and hundreds grabbed and taken back to Europe, to Lisbon or Cadiz in Spain. So is that what they're going to do? Okay. Is that what, like, they're putting humans into the burgers, as you have seen maybe in the last few weeks? And this, you know, the whole narrative of how sick and satanic this place is feeding everybody human, just like on the Snowpiercer film, they're eating cockroaches, or in the film Soylent Green, which is set in the year 2022, where everybody is eating the dead and they don't know about it. The film The Matrix, Neon in the Pod, he's having liquefied baby put back through into him. He's having the dead liquidized and put back through into him as a food source. Even in that film, they say that this is the case. Is that what happens? Do they at the end of the show, do they go nuts and do they start eating us? Well, I'll tell you what, eat the rich. That's what they do. Eat the rich, kill. They're going to kill the poor, so eat the rich. So I've concluding that video. I'm going to share all of them books up for you right now. Make sure to have a read of that book, though, if you can, guys. This one here, The Letters, it is a mind blow. It is a mind blow. And if you like sort of sea tales, etc., and a bit of carnage going down, that's the book for you. So I got channel problems. I've got channel problems, as in, I put this up in the week. I thought, well, I'm just going to guide people to click the live icon because only these are showing up 5 months old videos. I thought, well, I'll just do that humorously instead of just boring or just doing it for a laugh. Has it worked? No, not really. We're still slow and things are dropping because of this unbelievable decision by, by Stupid as Fuck YouTube. So, also, I noticed this, which was a bit of a shit that I thought, is this. Please subscribe to my son's channel, Lawrence Leek, trying to get him to 2,000 subs for Christmas. So, when you look on the watch page or the home page for my channel, it shows you most popular uploads. This one here, okay, it's been hidden. It's got 46,000 views. It took me ages to find it, and they've buried it. Even though it's a 1-year-old video, they buried it with 3-year-old videos way back. In fact, it was the 4th, and it's not even. They're just basically burying it because of its content. Okay, FEB Hotter, Siberian Reset Arrivals, blind and bleeding years, suggesting some sort of blast, plasma, some sort of event happened in Siberia in 1893. They have hidden it, and it's one of my best viewing videos. You know, they're really, really shit. They really, really are. So I will link that up. Check that video out. Maybe it'll come back on if a few of you watch it on my watch sort of page. So I've just stopped sharing for a minute. That's only been about an hour or so, guys. An hour, that is perfect. Just gonna Christmas is coming. You may want to buy your relatives a Flat Earth British book or Flat Earth British. I got a shop. If you look at the shop on the top where the live is, I got Flat Thumbs stuff as well. You may want to buy a book. I got somebody sending me a book I'm going to sign and send back to America only this week. So, and also had some book photographs sent in. I'll show you on my next post. If you have bought my book or you buy my book, take a photograph with you, maybe somewhere cool if you are brave enough to go out in the cold, and send it in, and we'll show it on Flatter Days or our shows. Okay, so just a little advert for you, and then that'll be it for today. Double Flat Thumbs to Infinity Fries. Thank you for popping by, and please make sure to share this juicage. Evidence, more evidence of lands in the south. Excuse me. Okay. Excuse me. Thank you, guys. Please make sure to, I would ask once again before I go to, if you like this video, like, and please share this out and subscribe to help the algorithm. So see you very soon. Thank you for watching.